Hi, good morning. My name is Tamara Kilgore, and I want to welcome you all to tonight's meeting. I'd like to start off by addressing all the board members and just expressing my gratitude on you guys assembling the guests here for tonight. So, thank you so much. Today's presentation will be about the importance of having a trauma informed school. I'd like to start off by sharing some statistics. As we all experienced the pandemic, similar, there were a lot of changes. Things were shutting down. We were running low on essential supplies. People were getting sick. People were dying. Just a lot of changes that we all experienced the same. However, there were some experiences that we all experienced quite differently. So, during the pandemic, a lot of schools had shut down, and the National Institution of Health reported a decline in the number of CPS reports, which went from 10,000 reports in the first week of March to 4,400 in the first month of April. And so that obviously is a huge decline within only a month. And a lot of people wonder why that changed. I asked myself as well, but as I dug deep into the report, I learned that many teachers, bus drivers, counselors, principals, yard duty teachers, as well as even students are mandated reporters. And obviously, since the schools had shut down, children that had been experiencing, or children and adolescents that had been experiencing forms of abuse in the home, they actually were forced to spend more time pretty much all day enduring that abuse. And so no one was there to protect them. Having that outlet at school, definitely that connection was cut off by the pandemic. And then also too, home visits stopped as well, as a lot of county workers were not allowed to do home visits. A lot of Zoom calls, video visits, and things like that were kind of like the norm during the pandemic. So trauma-informed practice takes the focus from what is wrong with this child to what has this child experienced. Many children do not have the necessary tools to communicate that something is happening to them or they've experienced some form of trauma. And so with that, that trauma can be acted out in a different way. And so one thing that I wanted to just share with you guys is that ACEs, ACES is an acronym for adverse childhood experiences. This could be forms of abuse, any violence experience, or forms of neglect. And so there's effects there's effects of trauma in children and adolescents, and that can be seen in different forms of depression, some separation anxiety, or any other forms of anxiety. A child or adolescent can experience behavioral disturbances. They might choose to self-isolate. They can develop some forms of social phobias. There's also reported changes in academic performances. Eating disorders. Typically, they're typically seen in children or adolescents who have experienced some form of sexual abuse. And so what that looks like, if you have a student that maybe you have built rapport with and you notice some changes, maybe that student was very social, enjoyed going out to the playground a lot, and then they just kind of start being a little bit more aggressive, kind of fighting a lot, or just sticking to themselves, then that can be like a change. Some people will just maybe kind of overlook it because they're just thinking, oh, maybe the child is having, a bad day or something like that. But just kind of leaning into that child or adolescent can make a huge difference because, like I said in the beginning, children don't always have the most appropriate tools to communicate that something is happening to them. And so the feelings that they do portray is a huge indicator that, hey, you know what, maybe I need to just dig a little bit deeper and see if there is something that's changing, something that we're missing, versus just maybe thinking that your child is just, like I said, having a bad day, or just acting out, right? If it's out of their norm, then that's just something that you just want to kind of keep an eye out. So there are 6 principles of trauma-informed care, in which today, for the sake of time, I'd like to go over 2. And so the first one is safety. Many children or adolescents may have not been equipped with the tools to protect themselves. So when we think about safety, this could be like safety in regards to physical protection, not just fighting, right? Imagine being overpowered by an adult. And in many homes, children are taught to respect adults. Adults are in charge. Adults are always right. Stay in a child's place. So imagine if that child has all these principles and morals that have been instilled in them, and then the person that is actually creating that abuse or neglect, or any form of trauma towards that child, what that does to their safety. Because outside of the adults being in charge, adults are also seen as protectors, and so what do you do when your protector is actually causing harm to you? So the principle that I chose, which is safety, is just to let you all know that creating a safe space, a safe environment for a child to feel comfortable, or adolescent to feel comfortable enough maybe to lean in and share that there is something happening. Also, just creating a safe space when they do share that something is happening. A lot of people don't share because they're afraid that they're going to get in trouble, or if there's other kids in the home, that they might end up in CPS and somehow be separated from their siblings or loved ones. And so maybe just identifying some areas of fear within that child, so that way they do feel comfort enough to open up, but also just know that, hey, you know what, although something can happen, this is a safe space for you. I want to protect you. I want you to know that you're worthy of being protected. Or just encouraging that child to reach out to someone that they do feel like they can trust. Maybe you're not that person at that time, or maybe, sometimes you might just not ever be that person, and that's okay as well. But just letting that child know that they definitely do need to feel protected, and just giving them those tools to know who to reach out to in case they have been violated in a way where it's causing trauma, extreme stress, things like that. The other principle that I like to discuss is the trustworthiness and transparency. I think they go kind of hand in hand with safety. And so with this principle, having open lines of communication with your children and adolescents is definitely important, right? They want to know that they can reach out to you, not just you being an enforcer or an instructor, that you actually are somebody that they can actually lean on for that extra support, especially if they don't have it at home. Being honest, sometimes the truth does hurt. However, it doesn't have to be painful. It might be hard to understand that your abuser is someone that you do love. And so letting children or adolescents know that, hey, this is not right. Yes, this is your so-and-so loved one. However, what they're doing is wrong, is something that's very, very important, because they're going to look to you as an adult, as a leader, for that support and for that honesty. Providing clear information and being consistent in actions. So if you are seen as a protector, as someone that's going to keep a child or adolescent safe, your word is key to their survival at this point, or to them being in a better situation. So if you're sharing that, hey, I hear you, I'm going to do this to protect you, or I'm going to implement that, that is very important that you follow through with what you're saying, because if trust has been taken away from this child in case they're experiencing violence or neglect or any forms of abuse in the home, they're going to look to you for support. And maybe if you don't follow through with what you're saying, they might look at you now as, oh, I can't trust this person. This is another adult that has failed me and, you know, kind of disappointed me. And so you just definitely want to make sure that you are being consistent, especially when they're experiencing such inconsistencies with the care in their home or love or relationships that, you know, that they've built within their family structure. Some actions that the schools can take. One thing that I just want to encourage you all is just to practice active listening. This includes verbal cues. If students are acting out, if you notice changes in their grades, that is a cry for help. Not saying that everyone who is like failing their school is experiencing some form of trauma, but if you notice, like I said in the beginning, if you notice that a child that is typically, you know, doing great or okay in the class suddenly slips, that's a way for you to lean in, actively listen and reach out. Hey, I noticed this. Is everything okay? Also, like I said, changes in mood and behavior. Hey, I noticed that you're a little bit angry. Is there something I can help you with? Just trying to kind of fish for cues, especially if they're not going to tell you immediately. Another thing is the nonverbal cues. Noticing that kids are isolating or also just being very startled by simple things, even overreacting to certain things, right? Things that they used to think was funny or they wouldn't be so offended by. Experiencing trauma can hit you to the core where, you know what, everything is, you're feeling offended by it because you're just so hurt. And so I definitely just want to encourage you guys to practice active listening in your schools, just as a way to maybe key in and see if there's extra support that you can provide to your students. That's it for me today. I definitely appreciate the time and the energy that you guys all put in today. And I look forward to meeting with you again. Have a great day.